Hello, thank you for tuning in to MTDC's Growing Tech Talents. With me, Syed Fardin Omar. Now, today we're going to be talking about something that is super exciting, robotics. Now, when we mention robotics, 1,000 different images is conjured up in our minds. Are we talking about the robots of Transformers? Are we talking about the robots of Robot Wars? But in fact, robotics is something that is prevalent in everywhere we go in our daily lives. There are various things in our daily lives, be it at home or at work, that is aided by the potential brought out by robotics. So it gives me great pleasure to be introducing our guest for today, the CEO of Idea Spark Robotics in Berhad, Ashraf Abdul Rahman. Ashraf, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Dino.
So like I said, robotics, man, that is one of the sexiest topics anybody could talk about because it is exciting. It makes you think about all the possibilities of that we can achieve beyond humankind. So tell us about the robotics from your perspective in Idea Spark Robotics.
Robotics is quite romanticized, but in our, from our perspective, basically we started out making robots for the industry. So a little bit boring, but basically what we do is we make robots that actually ferry products from the store to the production line and then back to the store again. And recently we moved out from the industry into actually healthcare. And so we started making robots that actually help to clean floors in the hospitals, to ferry goods from wards down to the clinical waste areas, and also for linen replacement. And we also did robots that help sanitize wards. So that's basically what we're doing right now. So these are the robots that we are actually trying to basically introduce into the market in Malaysia, and also probably the Southeast Asian region in the future.
Oh, from where I'm sitting, there's hardly anything that is boring about what you've just described. Now, for example, let's talk about the stuff that you were doing before, which is, the robots that facilitated the movement of
goods inside
goods
industry,
from one section of a factory to another. Now, the thing is, for a lot of these factories, they all claim the same thing, and that is the fact that robotics, when introduced to the assembly line, to the production line, it has increased productivity by a very high percentage. Clearly, this was a gap that is currently filled by robots before. What was the thing that gave you the confidence to say, now in Malaysia, this is something that is needed and it is a viable business to set up?
Okay. Few things. I think number one, there is definitely a physical need for it. When you're ferrying goods, especially if you're talking about the auto industry, and especially if you're talking about metal industry, which what I'm used to, you're ferrying goods that are quite heavy. And in our case, we have our operators actually pushing carts that actually weigh about 200 kilograms. And on average, they're actually pushing them for about 6 to 7 kilometers a day. So you can imagine pushing something that's 200 kilograms, 6 to 7 kilometers a day, every day, 5 days, and one whole month. And sometimes you have overtime, so Saturdays and Sundays as well. That actually takes a toll on your body. So when we actually introduce robots into our factory, into some of these factories actually, some of these people came to us and said, "Bang, thank you so much. Because we're using these robots, I can now sleep at night." So there is really a physical need for it. Now, unfortunately, the problem that we have in Malaysia is that a lot of our solutions, these kinds of robots, are imported. So when they're imported, they're expensive, they're very difficult to maintain because you don't have spare parts here and you don't have competent people to maintain them here. And as a result, a lot of them become white elephants. They get introduced into the factory, they run for a while, and then when problems come up, nobody comes to fix them, they just lie on the side. So that's what happens. So I think when we introduce our robots and we are able to maintain them, our customers become happy. And they buy from us more actually. So I think that's how we saw a need. When we saw a need for ourselves and we started using it ourselves, then other people start seeing it and they started buying from us.
So that means the demand was definitely there, but it was just that it was not being, there was very little capacity in meeting that demand because of the entry points. The price points were very high. And that is the solution that you're bringing into the picture here. But now you're moving on from the auto industry and industries as such, and you're moving into healthcare.
Yes.
Why?
Okay, so it's the same thing also. In healthcare, when you're talking about, for example, our floor cleaning solution, we actually are able to help our customers reduce the lead time to clean floors in hospitals, because what they need to do usually is sweep mop and also wash. If I'm not mistaken, these are the three things that they need to do for each of the areas that they are allocated to clean. Our machine does that in one shot. And when in the past they had to do it with different people and different time schedules. So what used to take about 1 month now takes 1 week. And then with nobody running the show, just pressing a button, or sometimes you just set up the schedule and you're all set. The robot does it by itself. So what that does is it helps our customers reduce their requirement for labor, which in turn helps them to provide more reliable solutions to the customers, to their customers. So that's the need that we found that we were able to fulfill for our current customers.
We know that you're in the automotive industry, and your latest venture would be in healthcare. What are the other industries that you're in right now, and what are the industries that you hope to be in the near future?
Well, at the moment, it's just manufacturing, so any manufacturing, and also healthcare. And interestingly, our cleaning solutions have been getting interest from food manufacturing companies. So maybe that's an entire focus that we are.
It's good enough for a hospital, then it would be good enough for a food factory.
Exactly. Yeah. We didn't realize that until we started marketing our products. So there's a lot of interest from food. But I think moving forward, we just want to focus on these two industries, build a whole line of products to help support our industries, especially in manufacturing, especially as I mentioned, for the SMEs, because we want them to be able to start adopting these technologies and growing from there. But in the near future, what I'm looking at is also to build consumer robotics. So what exactly?
Growing retail?
Yeah, okay. For consumers, for you at home, basically, right?
Right.
What exactly that robot is, we don't have any idea yet. I'm getting my team to, working with them to explore that.
Right.
But eventually we'll get there. That's the idea.
In terms of looking forward into the future, we are, I'm sure you would agree if I said that, especially for your industry, we are at the crux of a very interesting time as the country starts to embrace things like 5G and, IR 4.0, the Internet of Things, all this coming straight into play across the board, and that is the game plan that we are telling businesses to do and to adopt in order for them to create resilience for them into the future. So what does this mean for you as we move into an accelerated phase of technology expansion in the near future?
It means a lot of opportunities, basically. I think companies that are able to tie 2 and 2 together, like how can I make 5G work with my product? Or how can I use 5G to develop products that customers will enjoy using? So these are the companies that will be able to profit from these kinds of technologies. So I think with so many technologies coming in together, it's actually an era of opportunity, for those who are able to understand and use these technologies to provide solutions for customers.
So what does it take from a leader who's running a company that is always going to be on the verge of the next big thing, because technology moves, in such a fast pace, right? You're always at the very tip of, the next big thing, Right. So in terms of leading a team, what does that require of you, number one, and what does that require of your team, and how do you keep them dynamic?
In terms of knowledge, you as a leader, you have to play the role. You have to be always alert about what's going on. You have to be reading about what's going on. Even if you don't understand it deeply, you need to understand it enough to know the potentials of this. And then you're always sharing with your team so that they're also aware and they're also learning, and then they're also sharing to you in return. So that's the idea. I mean, it's always a matter of communicating with the team so that they are also as dynamic as you. They understand what's going on out there and what we can eventually bring in. But in terms of as a business, as a company, there is a certain amount of focus that you need to have. We've decided that this is the product that we're going to roll out by a certain date. We can't, new technology coming in, let's put it in so that, when we launch, we have this product. That's going to create a whole lot of mess to your product, and you're going to delay your launch by so much. Again, it takes a lot of focus. So it's just a matter of, okay, they know what's coming. and we can launch that in our next version of the product. But for this particular launch date, we're going to launch the product with these features. So sometimes those features might not have whatever is the latest out there, but as long as you are satisfying your customers' needs, they will still buy from you. That's the idea.
In order to stay abreast, you need support.
Right.
And I guess this is where people like MTDC comes in, right?
Exactly.
So tell us about your relationship with them.
Well, MTDC has been very helpful with us in terms of actually providing us with, you know, I'm a technical person, right? So when it comes to business direction, or when it comes to funding solutions, MTDC is the one that has been guiding us. Look, this is how you're going to fund your business. This
So
is
it's not
your
just
next
about
strategy.
here's some cash.
Yes, it's not just about here's some cash. You know, go ahead and do whatever you want.
Great.
It's,
Okay.
Yeah, it's really about okay. This is of course here's some cash, right? Of course. But then it's like okay, after this is what you need to do. Once you're done with that, then we go to the next step, which is this is what you need to do. So and then they
give you the guidelines and the guidance in order for you to free up your headspace to think about the task at hand.
Exactly.
Which is innovating.
Right.
Right. So the relationship is symbiotic in the sense that they gain from the innovation that you've created, but you also gain from the knowledge that they have in overseeing the industry.
Yes. And not only that, MTDC has its own network of entrepreneurs who have actually benefited and grown. And we know companies that are big like Greytech, for example, right? So we, as MTDC family members, we can learn from them as well. So that's the interesting part, yeah.
Okay. Well, we wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you.
And we're definitely looking forward to see what new, great, shiny stuff that you'll be creating for us in the future.
Thank you. We'll do our best.
Best of luck to you. Now, you've been watching MTDC's Growing Tech Talents with me, Syed Fardino Omar, and it's been great having you on board with us. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.